Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Good morning, and welcome once again to Kahului Hongwanji's online YouTube Sunday service. We're together here, virtually together here on October 11th, 2020. And so we're continuing with this COVID-19 reality, and hoping for the best, but doing what we have to do to stay safe. So today we'll just be having, again, our regular family service. We'll begin with the Vandana and Tisarana, followed by the chanting of the sutra Junirai. It's the English version of Junirai called the 12 Homages. And then following that, we will recite together the Golden Chain of Love. Then I will share a Dharma message with you, and we will then recite or chant the Metta, the Lovingkindness meditation. Then we will end with the Nembutsu and a few closing words. So thank you very much for being here today, and I hope you guys are all holding on and just keep looking forward to the time when we'll all be able to come every Sunday to church as we used to and enjoy our wonderful Kahului Hongwanji brunch following the service. So I hope we can get back to that someday, soon. So thank you very much, and let's put our hands together in Gassho as we begin the service. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Bhutang saranang gacchami, dhammang saranang gacchami, sanghang saranang gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Gods and men all bow in awe to Amida the revered. In Buddha's wondrous pure land, bodhisattvas gather round. Golden form like the mountain king, steadfast like the elephant's pace. Buddha's eyes like the blue lotus. Thus I bow to Amida. Buddha's form round like the moon, bright like thousand suns and moons, Buddha's voice like the nightingale. Thus I bow to Amida, Buddha's figure on Kanon's crown, adorned with wondrous features. Buddha subdues evilness. Thus I bow to Amida, beyond compare Amida's pure virtue shining clear like space. All benefit from Buddha. Thus I bow to Amida, Bodhisattvas all renown, Maras to praise Amida, primal thou made for our sake. Thus I bow to Amida, golden ponds where lotus bloom, towers a throne of goodness. Buddha lives like the mountain king. Thus I bow to Amida, Bodhisattvas come afar, attaining true happiness. They revere the Buddha's face. Thus I bow to Amida. All life changes like the dew. We have no permanent self. Buddha teaches this law to all. Thus I bow to Amida. No evil in the Pure Land, and no fear of evil paths. Faithful hearts honor Buddha. Thus I bow to Amida, saving us through many ways. No tempters, no evil friends. Birth leads to enlightenment. Thus I bow to Amida. Amida, thus I have praised, virtues boundless like the sea. These virtues shared with others, for birth into the Pure Land. Naman Dabu, Naman Dabu, Naman Dabu, Naman Dabu, Naman Dabu, Naman Dabu. The virtue of Amida's vow is shared equally by all, together attaining awakened mind. We are born in the land of peace. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda. Golden Chain of Love. I am a link in Amida Buddha's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I must keep my link bright and strong. I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that on what I do now depends not only my happiness or unhappiness, but also that of others. May every link in Amida Buddha's golden chain of love become bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 At this time, I'd like to share a few thoughts about the Buddha's teaching with you. So, it's already fall. Isn't that something? Here in, I don't know how it is other places, but here in Maui, it's very hot. It's been really, really hot. We've had some cool days and some cool evenings. The evenings are getting a little cooler, but it's really, really hot, kind of disturbingly so. So we'll hope that things will cool off. Whenever the weather is a little unusual, it makes me think that, reminds me about global warming or climate change, whatever we're supposed to call it. But the weather is, that of course has a disturbing thoughts, knowing what the consequences that are of these warming planets. So we have to think about that always in ways that we can change the way we live, change our mode of consuming, so that we're not putting such a strain on the planet. It's a big subject, so too big for me to talk about right now. I want to talk, I just want to share some thoughts with you. Buddhism is concerned really in many ways with the quality of life, just like, the condition of the environment has a lot to do with the quality of our life. Buddhism is concerned about the quality of life, both inner and outer, spiritually and physically. And a lot of the quality of our life depends on our outlook. Yeah, it's our way of seeing and our way of understanding life. So, if my outlook is all about me, of course, I'm going to have a different way of behaving, both inside and outside, how I treat myself and how I treat others, than if my outlook on life is about understanding interdependence, the oneness of life, my responsibility to others, to realize that other people have the same needs that I do. I'm going to treat them differently, and I'm going to have a different attitude about myself as well. So, but if we go back to just the basic idea about our attitude, if we have a view of life that is very stressful, if we're always seeing problems, always seeing things to criticize, well, sometimes that's easy to do, right? If we are always getting upset about things, well, we can see problems but not necessarily have to get upset about them. We can try to do something about them and accept things as they are at the same time. But when you have a lot of stress, when you have a stressful view of life, life becomes gloomy and difficult and sad. On the other hand, if we're able to appreciate each moment of life, whether it's good or bad, without judging, appreciate each moment. Wow, how wonderful that I'm able to be here at this moment, even if it's a difficult moment, even if it's a bad moment, even if whether I'm happy or unhappy, whether what's happening is pleasant or unpleasant, then my whole life will be harmonious and peaceful and be imbued with a kind of light, and other people will be affected by that too. Of course, under the current conditions that we're facing with this COVID-19 and all the other problems, climate change, as I mentioned, and economic and political messes that we're in, it's hard not to feel a bit sad and sorrowful. But unhappiness, sadness, depression, all these concerns about life have always have been common for a long time. So it's not anything really new. The causes, maybe the causes for this stem from the values of our modern culture, I think. The causes for our very sort of gloomy attitude, very sort of depressed attitude, didn't start with COVID. It goes back a ways. But it has to do with the values that we kind of all embrace, whether we know it or not. Some of these, well, for example, in our culture, we tend to emphasize, health, right? Youth, beauty, winning, success, all those things. These in themselves might be kind of good things, right? But to emphasize them the way we do, the very strong emphasis we put on them, means that we don't realize that we're making arbitrary judgments about life. Health, youth, and success, these can be good things at times. When you're young, it's nice to be young, right? But sickness, old age, and failure can also be good too. I mean, we fail more often than we win. We're going to get old. If we're lucky, we get old. And sickness is something we all experience one time or another. And in fact, we learn more, and we often come to a deeper appreciation of life from our difficult and painful experiences, much more than we do from happy and pleasant times. You know how you remember the difficult times, we can't always know what's best. We need to learn to find the best in whatever the circumstances we encounter. You might think, I'd rather have it this way, but that might not be the best thing for you. Getting what I want isn't always good. Sometimes I have to get what I don't want, or not get what I want, and then there's something that I learn from that. I'm changed, I'm transformed by that. In order to understand and appreciate life, to live beyond simple self-interest, which is what I think most people, unfortunately, are doing in this modern culture. Maybe not most people, but I think it's very much a strong current in our culture. It's always about the self-interest. We need to understand that health and sickness are actually one thing. You can't have health without sickness. You can't have sickness without health. Youth and old age are one. They go together. They're two sides of the same coin. Winning and losing are one. So, unfortunately, we humans have decided we don't like old age. We struggle against it. We try to stay young, right? We know death is inevitable, but we fear it, and it's an unknown, so we prefer to ignore it. We don't think about it. We don't realize life is birth and death, always, at all times. The two go together. Everything is being born, everything is dying. We're always gaining and we're always losing, right? We can't separate those things, but it's easier to just say, I'm just going to focus on what I want, what I care, what I like, what's pleasant, and forget about the rest. Buddha taught, though, that life and death can't be separated. To be young means to grow old. This is the process of living. To live means we are moving toward death. In this process, we're constantly learning, constantly encountering the true nature of things, which are always growing and changing, always being transformed. Although we prefer to stay healthy and rich all the time, if we ever get to be rich, and lucky if we're healthy too, right? True living, though, teaches us that these are all only transient conditions and in constant flux. When we live with this consciousness, we're able to appreciate each moment of life as a profound reflection of this eternal process of growth, change, dynamic change. Life is alive, always change. Buddhism teaches that everything arises, everything comes into being because of causes and conditions. That's change. When those conditions change, things change. We change. But we do not need to fear this process. Instead, we need to learn from this change, because it is only through realizing the certainty of change, of transformation, and thus the impermanence of all things, that we can awaken to understand what's really going on in our life at this present moment, at each and every moment of our life, and learn to appreciate the preciousness of each moment. The Buddha taught us that it's very important to be aware of this reality of causes and conditions. Nothing is fixed or permanent. Otherwise, we have a tendency to fragment the world, tear it apart into opposites, life and death, good and bad, pleasant and unpleasant, young and old. The founder of the Jodo Shinshu tradition, Jodo Shinran Shonin, taught us that Amida Buddha, who is that really is, or represents, you might say, boundless wisdom and compassion, measureless life, the oneness of life really, always embraces us. Amida, boundless life, always embraces us just as we are, whether we're good or bad, young or old, wise or foolish. Of course, it's important that we always try our best in this life, but we must never forget that we are limited beings and that our understanding is also limited. We always think we know what's good. I know what's good. I'm certain about what I think is right, what I think is good. But our ideas about what is good actually change throughout our life, just like everything else. Actually, they change from moment to moment. The things that we strive for in our youth often become dissatisfying to us when we get old. Our views and opinions about life constantly change, and we can never say at any point in our lives that we know for certain what is good. We only know what we think is good for us right now. Whatever we achieve today may seem foolish tomorrow. What brings happiness today may result in sadness tomorrow. The reason for this is that our limited wisdom only goes so far. Our wisdom is self-centered. Our human wisdom is self-centered. It's always concerned with momentary happiness. Because of this, as the Buddha taught, we tend to follow our selfish instincts and attach ourselves to whatever seems good and pleasant at the moment. We want to hold onto everything so tightly as if we could keep it forever. At the same time, we resist change and we become disappointed by the very things that once made us happy. Living as we do now in a society obsessed with consumption and distraction. Even during this COVID thing, we can't go out to consume as much as we could before, but we can do it online. Technology has come to our rescue. But this reality of our dissatisfaction, our grasping attachments, is very, very obvious in our consumer society. We're always being persuaded by those who can make money off of this, of course, to desire something new, some new product or new technology or service or something. And we think, I have to get that. It will be so wonderful, right? But inevitably, when we get it, it doesn't seem as great as we thought it would be. Or in any case, it's not enough. It's not quite enough. We want more. We're not totally satisfied. Then, of course, a new model or new version soon comes out to satisfy our endless cravings, but it too will not be enough, and it will just inspire new desires. And even if you ever do get something that makes you feel at least temporarily satisfied, well, immediately we start to worry about losing it or having it become damaged or something will keep us from feeling really satisfied. So even if we are successful and can buy whatever we want, which is fewer and fewer people, our lives are full of stress and dissatisfaction, maybe even more so the more we have. I think when we have less, we tend to, out of necessity maybe, learn to appreciate what we have. Maybe that's why Buddhism has always stressed, being a monk, right? Becoming a monk, letting go of your lifestyle, changing your lifestyle to be live without possessions and so on. But this is true, even more so when it comes to old age and death. Our life is always full of dissatisfaction. No matter what we have, no matter how much we have. And so whatever you do, no matter how smart you are, clever you are, how much money or prestige you might have, we cannot avoid this reality. Buddha taught that if we let go of our attachments, we can attain peace of mind. Peace of mind, the mind of peace. That's the mind that doesn't cling to illusions of happiness, but embraces everything and everyone equally with compassion and appreciation. This is hard to do for us ordinary beings because it's almost impossible to overcome our own selfish and restless mind. But Buddhism teaches us that we can attain the true mind of peace. This is because the mind of peace, the mind of enlightenment, the Buddha's mind, is actually the mind of reality itself. It's out there. It's what is real. It's what is, Shinran said, true and real. We encounter this mind the very moment we begin to rely on the Buddha's wisdom. That's the wisdom that's rooted in the bodhisattva wish for the happiness of others, rather than our own calculating certainties. Our mind is always about self-interest. Our wisdom has to do with what we can get out of it, get out of things, what we can achieve or attain, and so on. But the Buddha's mind is the mind of infinite compassion, concerned always with the well-being of everyone, everywhere. Then, the Buddha's wisdom, the Buddha's light, illumines the true nature of our life and allows us all equally to embrace every moment, whether we are happy or unhappy, good or bad. Then we can begin to see everything in a new light, accepting the whole of life, ourselves and everyone around us, without judgment, with kindness and compassion. It takes a little work, a little effort. It takes reflection. So thank you very much for listening. Let's put our hands together now and recite the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Please join us now for the metta, the loving kindness meditation. Thank you. May all beings be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May I be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to me. May I live in peace and harmony. May my family be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my teachers be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my friends be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May strangers be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my enemies be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May all beings be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo.
Namo
Well, thank you for joining us again today for Kahului Hongwanji's online YouTube service. Don't really have any big announcements to make. Please see the printed announcements following at the very end of the video. We do, just to mention, we do have the ability to accept donations through YouTube, although we don't want to make too fine a point on it. Of course, we haven't been able to do any fundraising, and so it is difficult to keep the temple going, so we appreciate any small donations that you can make. And of course, you can also do it the old-fashioned way, mailing it in or dropping it off. But we do appreciate your support, whether monetary or just your good wishes. Everything is of equal value. We really appreciate it. So thank you very much. Let's put our hands together in Gasho and recite the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo